With Master Duel getting more and more expensive, it seems impossible to keep up with all these ultra rare decks. So I won't. Each week, I will build a deck with 0 ultra rares in the main or extra and take it to the Master Duel ranked ladder. What cards will I draw from the Pot of Poverty? Hey everybody, BreadBoyWeeb here, back with another episode of Pot of Poverty. It's been a while. Today, we're looking at Cyberse.
Hackerman. He's the most powerful hacker of all time.
Less of a whole archetype and more of a pile of good stuff. Basically, we're playing every single decent monster, spell, or trap that is related towards the Cyberse typing, the type made for Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains and the Link mechanic. There is a surprising amount of good generic Cyberse pieces that are low rarity, and we're just playing the best ones to combo off with. The deck lines are kind of make them up as you go along, but a lot of them you're just searching for some key pieces in your deck. Starting off with our usual SR hand traps, we have Gamma, Droll, and Crow. Dotscaper is basically a body if it's sent to the graveyard, or a Link 2 in a pinch. Microcoder falls into the category of monster that can be Link material from hand for a Code Talker, and you can add any sign it, spell, or trap when done so. If you use it as material from the field, you can search any level 4 Cyberse. Link Infraflyer can be summoned to any zone a Link monster points to, and is mostly a small world bridge. Basically, any Cyberse in hand plus this guy in your deck makes small world capable of searching any monster you need. Code Generator can be linked from hand as well, and if it's done so, lets you mill a Cyberse with 1200 or less attack, aka Dot Scraper. This gives you a ton of Link material really quickly. Balancer Lord gives you another normal summon of a Cyberse, which comes in handy more often than you would think. Lady Debug on summon searches a level 3 or lower Cyberse. This is your best starter, as it can search any of the coders or Link Infraflyer for further extension. If you control no monsters in the EMZ, Mathmech Sigma can summon itself from hand or graveyard. It's basically a free 4 body that's also a tuner, which might be helpful later. Mathmech Multiplication, when sent to the graveyard, can double the attack of a monster on the field. Why are we running this? I will explain a bit more once we get to the extra deck. Now, to the Firewall engine. Defensor, when linked off, summons a Firewall from deck. Your 2 targets are either Guardian, which summons itself when linked off, and Phantom, which searches a silent spell trap from deck. Parallel Exceed is the greatest extender in this deck, and I really wish I made this episode prior to its semi-limit, because man, it would have been nice. When you link summon, special summon this from hand, then summon another copy from the deck. Their levels become 4, which means you can play any rank 4 you want, as well as any Link climbing shenanigans you want to get up to. Gachiri can summon itself by targeting a Cyberse you control, and it's sent to the field to the graveyard can make one monster you control unaffected by everything your opponent controls until the end of the next turn. I'm trying this out to see if it's worth it, but the main deck space is quite loose. Pot of Desires because I am God's strongest gambler and I will simply not banish any of my important one-ofs and I need the draw power. Small World searches everything, Chalices are great value imperm, and Conflict is an omni-negate that banishes if you control a Code Talker. That's the main deck, only 4 garnets. Wonderful deck building. On to the extra deck. Wind Pegasus and Aggregator will never be summoned, we only care about their graveyard effects. When a card you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish Pegasus from graveyard, then target any card your opponent controls, shuffle it away. When Mirrorlogic Aggregator is sent to the graveyard, target and negate one monster on the field. How we send them to the graveyard, I will explain in a second. Link Spider can be made with any token, we are very vulnerable to Nibiru. Balinks and Lingaribo are just generic Link 1s to start our combo with, but Lingaribo can protect itself to negate a trap, so that could come in handy. Code Talker is a generic Link 2 with the words Code Talker in the name, and that's why we play it. Cyberse Wicked has good arrows, can protect your monsters from destruction, and searches Mathmech Sigma. If Update Jammer is used as Link material, that new Link can attack twice. Good for OTKs, and that's about it. Code Talker Inverted. Same benefits as the other, but can summon a Cyberse from hand to wherever it points. Splash Mage revives a monster, just free extension really. Transcode Talker is further extension and can give itself and a co-linked monster targeting protection. We will send the previous random extra deck Cyberse monsters to the graveyard with Firewall Dragon, Dark Fluid, Neo, Tempest, Terra. Who the fuck names these cards? Sheesh. Terahertz can quick effect send a Cyberse from deck to extra deck to the graveyard. This lets you send Pegasus going first and Aggregator on your opponent's turn to negate something. Aggregator's negate starts on a new chain though, so you can't react to on-summon effects. It's not amazing. You can send Dotscaper for more material and Multiplication for an 11,000 attack OTK. Yeah, it gains 2,500 attack every time you send something, by the way. With the card by card out of the way, let's get into the replays. Okay, for our first replay of the day, our hand is about as good as it gets. We got Balancer Lord, we have a starter, and we have a way to potentially get 2 Silent Conflict. We do the yoinky spoinky, search for microcoder, make a balancer, make code talker, activate microcoder. They max seed me here. He probably thinks he stopped my entire combo line. I wasn't gonna go any further. This is a code talker for conflict. This is Chalice for the monster negate. It's kind of like a sword soul board if you think about it. He goes chicken game, he's playing synchrons. I'm like, this deck is more fragile than my deck. I got this easy. Conflict is normal summon. I'm like, this guy's over. This guy's done. He activates Illumination, mills one, sets one. I don't give a damn. This game is over. And I'm like, I legitimately couldn't believe that his whole ass deck was more fragile than mine. He activates Maxi again. I do not care. Droll is going to come in clutch here, use code generator again to make inverted. I didn't activate inverted because I forgot how the chains work at this and I didn't want to give him an extra draw. Doesn't really matter, do the Dotscaper thing. Make Lingaribo in case that's imperm at the bottom. I'm going for the Terahertz OTK here. Terahertz does his thing. He activates Ash in the battle phase, but Terahertz negates battle phase effects. Go for the multiplication line here. He uses Droplet, which does save him for a turn. Now I have to get rid of Chicken Game as well. Not a huge deal, but they get one more turn. He draws a card. I'm wondering, alright, what you gonna do now? He activates Chicken Game. He has 2 cards. That is the best card he could have drawn off his deck. He activates Magician Souls here, but I'm going to negate it here with Mirror Logic Aggregator so he can't send Chicken Game for more draws. He summons Synchron, tributes some random bike, and that is Jover for him. First game going pretty strong against a pretty bad deck. Alrighty, for game 2, we're opening up with a hand that is not as good as the previous one, but we might be able to make something off it. Normal summon Microcoder, do the code generator line, summon Code Talker, add off both of these. He keeps pinging back to me, so I'm curious what he's trying to play. So I'm trying to play a little bit low to the ground. Do Dotscaper, Transcode Talker. I'm not sure what I'm aiming for exactly yet until he activates something. Imperm is fine, that's 1 card out of his hand. Transcode Talker is a Code Talker, this is an Omni Negate, this is Crow, this is Droll. This should be enough to get me through 1 turn. Then I see Senju, and I'm like, oh my god, this guy's a gamer. Too good to play the better ritual stuff, dude. Activates Bather and summons Fool. Fool does his thing, and he tries to target a card in the graveyard, get rid of it with Crow. I'm pretty confident with how much hand knowledge he has. Summons Baithor to pop out Transcode Talker. That's what finally baits out the sign at conflict. He's pretty low on cards, and I'm like, this game is probably over now. I'm not running enough monster disruption in this deck. That's the problem. A single guy in the field can kind of hold me. Activates Fool, summons Aerotron, not a big deal because I'm not going to target any of his monsters, summons Terahertz. Terahertz can actually attack multiple times. I'm sorry I didn't explain every effect on Terahertz. He has 6,000 words on him. I could not get through all of it. But I clear out his field, I'm like, this game is pretty much over, and guess what? He draws the best card in his deck, and I'm like, alright, we're still in this somehow. So it's unformed too. I use Aggregator, forgetting that Fool is a quick effect, so it looks like the Fool is me in this regard. He activates Aggregator, he changed it away, summons another Fool, but because he had to do this, it doesn't have further extension, and he ends the turn here. If I wipe out Fool, the other monster, it's over. Lady Debug is all I need. Normal summon Lady Debug. He does not want to see any more of that. It is over. And for the final duel of the day, I wanted to end with something a little more meta, something more strong, and this hand is absolute garbage. He activates Small World, he activates Max C. I'm sitting on potentially 2 hand traps. I'm just gonna chill. I don't really have that strong of a game plan anyway. Their deck is probably much stronger than theirs. And what is the deck they're playing? Well, it's kind of obvious. They normal summon Kashtira, and I'm like, oh, this game is over. Summons Birth and summons Unicorn. I'm like, okay, Droll might do something here. Doesn't matter. He's a better player than me because he drew Called by the Grave. He activates Theosis. This is over. Fenrir is an insta-win. Arise Heart is an insta-win. Big Bang is an insta-win. Why does he go for Shangri-Ira with the 1 Fenrir he has? I was completely confused. Like, oh, that set card might be Big Bang. He might be trying to play me or something. Summons Ogre, and I'm very confused. He goes for Unicorn and Ogre. Both of the banished targets here are not important. He sent like Lingaribo and Baguska, and he's hitting my back row as a Cyberse combo deck. I'm starting to realize if that face down is actually just nothing, we might be able to win here. Send Dotscaper, do the whole combo line here, in for Flyer for Transcode Talker. I can't believe what's about to happen. I'm like, there's no way. That face down has to be like an imperm, something that instantly beats me. I go for the Terahertz line, send Multiplication OTK, and that's it. This is the worst Kashtira player I have ever seen in my life. If he made a single different move, put the banished targets in my field zone instead of my back row, hit the Terahertz a single time, or even Transcode Talker, that would have been over. He made like 20 mistakes to get me that win. Those were interesting to say the least. I can't say this is the best deck we've ever used, but it does end on something from time to time. Let's do the breakdown. Strength gets a 3 out of 5. Update Jammer plus any large link is still quite strong. Terahertz and the Mathmech puts you at 11k. If your opponent leaves a monster with 3000 or less attack on the field, that's an instant win. Especially in lower ranks, people leave monsters and attack all the time, or just have a link monster. A negate and banish is about as strong as you get in terms of negates. I tried adding more with Codebreaker engines, but if I added any more gardens to this deck, it would look like a Steven Universe edit. Consistency gets a 2.5 out of 5. Since our game plan, despite all the comboing, is kind of low to the ground, we're just going for Terahertz and or Cynet Conflict. Finding the line to either of those isn't too difficult. The problem with running 4 Garnets though is you draw them all the time. Ooh, could have seen this coming. Resilience gets a 2 out of 5. This deck has a problem with every hand trap under the sun. If you get Max Seed, you can't make a quick Heat Soul line. Ash hurts. Ghost Ogre hurts. Nib hurts. All of this is pretty tough. Shifter is also wraps for you. Sometimes you can push through 1 or 2 interactions though if you open right. UR Independence gets a 1.5 out of 5. While it is nice that so many extenders and starters are available, not only are we missing core ones like Cynet Mining, but we lack a general identity of the deck. The one UR you absolutely need is Access Code for field clearing and OTKs with Update Jammer, but the rest sort of depends. The 3 best combo Cyberse piles are Mathmech, Adignister, and Firewall, and the only good one is Mathmech. Here's a basic build and what you need for it. This deck was a travesty, but it ended on 1 Omni Negate, so it's goated with the sauce. But what do you guys want to see from the next Pot of Poverty? Let me know, comment below. Thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe. This is BreadBoyWeeb, signing out.